Alright YouTube, today we're going to talk about how to convert a 20 to 30 round magazine from MFT into a 30 round magazine for your AR-15. So, a while back I bought a couple of these magazines. Looks like a 30 round magazine, but when I got it home it was really only a 20 round magazine. MFT makes these. You can see this is the exact same size as a regular 30 round magazine for your AR-15, but it only fits 20 in there. And today we're going to talk about how to convert that. There's a little piece in here that you have to remove, and then voila, 30 round magazine. So the tools that you're going to need today are pretty simple. You need a flathead screwdriver. You need an X-Acto blade or some kind of very thin box cutter blade, and a small ball peen hammer, or any hammer will do. I also use a vise for mine as well. It gives me another set of hands to hold on to it. So here we go. First off, there's a little button on the bottom of these. Right here, you can see there's this little plastic insert right there that you have to remove. That's the first step. So you'll take your Phillips head screwdriver, or your X-Acto blade, I guess, if you need to, but a Phillips head, I mean not a Phillips, a flathead will usually pop that right out. It's just a little plug, and you pop that out first. From there, you can see the seam all the way around the seat of the magazine. Okay, so when they make these and sell them in California, they're only allowed 20 rounds in their magazines. So what they've done is they put this plug in, and then they seal this when they make it, and you're going to want to get that X-Acto blade in there and cut around that seam that goes all the way around this magazine. Be careful you don't cut yourself with that X-Acto blade. But get in there deep enough to where you can separate that plastic, any plastic that was that carried over from the process of making it. Sometimes it'll seal that up. So get in there pretty deep with that X-Acto blade, and after I get done with that, I'll show you the next steps. All right. So I've got my magazine put into my vise. I've got a towel here around it to make sure that anything doesn't get all scratched up on the magazine. So you want to get your flathead under this piece and then pop it up, and you can see it comes out pretty easy. But it's just a tiny little plastic piece. You can hold on to this and put it back in if you want to, but you don't have to have it. If you lose it, it's not the end of the world. But you know, I keep mine in there just the same. Next steps, like I said, you want to get inside this this groove, and it helps if you've got it in your vise. That way you're not cutting your hand off. But get in there around that seam right here, all the way around, up and over right here, and then all the way around. So I'm going to cut that on my own, and you just get that knife in there deep enough to cut any of that plastic that's spilled over. All right, so I'm back. I've cut all the way around this thing. I don't know if you can see it any better here, but get that knife in there deep enough to where it actually cuts through any kind of plastic spillover. The next thing that you're going to want to do is take your flathead screwdriver and push this down. So you can see that pushes that spring down, and then from there you just take your hammer and tap gently right on that side there, and you will push this magazine piece on the bottom. You'll push it to the left as it sits right now, and then off it'll come. Alright, so I still don't have enough hands to hold this and show you guys, but what I did is I pushed this down here with one hand, push that down and hold it down for a second, and then just lightly tap right here on the back side, on the thin side of this magazine bottom. Just lightly tap that, and then you can get that bottom piece to separate while you're pushing down there in the middle. From there, as you pull this back, be careful, that spring is going to launch out. and then I'll show you the insides here in just a second. Okay, as you can see, I've removed the bottom piece. Slides right off if you just slide it parallel, and then you've got this big long spring in here, and on the bottom of this spring you can see this piece. This is what keeps you from making it a 30 round magazine, right? Make sure that you keep this piece inside your spring. This is your feed, so this is what pushes your rounds up into the magazine. But this is the piece right here, this plastic piece, that you need to cut to make sure that this is a 30 round magazine instead of a 20 round magazine. So basically this plastic right here keeps you from putting the extra 10 rounds. So next thing you need to do is pull this spring off, and you can see right here where the spring fits in on this piece of plastic. So you just want to pull that piece of plastic out from the spring and separate that, and then we'll go to next steps from there. All right, so you can see we've got our spring out, we have our plastic piece out now, and then there are two other tools that you're going to need for this. Well, you don't have to have these. You can use a knife if you want to cut through that plastic, but I have a Dremel tool and some safety goggles if you're going to be using the Dremel tool, because there's plastic that's going to be shooting up all over the place. You don't want to get that in your eyes. Nothing makes it harder to shoot than being blind. So with this plastic piece, what you want to do is you want to cut it not above this, because that's where your spring holds in, but you want to cut it just a little bit below that. So maybe right across here. You can do this with some snips. If you have some big time plastic cutting snips, some people use garden shears and stuff like that. I found a Dremel tool works just as good. Just make you a clean cut all the way across here, and then put this back onto the spring and put it all back together. Alright, so as you can see, I've cut through the plastic there and cut off this. This is now worthless. You can throw that away, and then you want to put this right back onto your to the bottom of your spring. So if you look up here, you can just slide that right back into the spring right here, and then I can actually do it with one hand, so it's not that hard to do. But then you just put the guts right back into your magazine, like such. So you slide it right back in, push down just like that, and then you slide this piece right back over the top, and now you have a 30 round magazine. As you can see, I've slid this right back in this way, and now we have a completed 30 round magazine that works just as well as if you'd paid for a 30 round. But again, because of California, they can only sell the 20 round variant. You just have to know how to turn yours into a 30 round. So if you find that you've bought an MFT 20/30 round and you want to convert it to a 30 round, that's how you do it.